I know that you are having a hard time right now. That everything seems to crumble around you. I know that you feel all alone in this world, but you have to put your trust into us, and we will help you through, 'cause we only want what's best for you.
Alright. Squirrels went crazy. This is so awkward now. Sorry, I'm gonna be like checking my phone because I have it all written down. Guys, I got a marker board and I'm obsessed. Good morning, vlog. Welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to sit down and talk about feeling like you're stuck, and not necessarily, it doesn't need to be a long period of time. You feel stuck, or that I have felt stuck, it can almost be this like small part of the day. So I feel like for me, I've been feeling really good in the morning. I'll have my routine, I start my day, I go work out, I come home, I start my work day, and then along, I don't know, 2 o'clock we'll say, I just come to a point in my day where I kind of feel stuck. And it really has the potential to turn my day into a negative one, and I try to not let that happen. I've been looking into it and listening to podcasts and people who, you know, are more of an expert on the subject than I am, absolutely. And it's almost what I've found, like the flight, fight, or freeze. It's odd because for the most part, I would not think I'm a freezer. So like with the flight, fight, it's hard to say. Fight, flight, or freeze. I think we've all heard of this, mostly fight or flight. But I think specifically to work or to something that we need to get done, if I get so overwhelmed or I have so many things on my plate and I don't know where to start, sorry if these birds are crazy loud. I love it, but it might be a lot for the vlog. But anyway, it's honestly been something new that I've learned about myself. Something that's helped me with the fight, flight, or freeze is what I've talked about before on the vlog, which is time management. And I think across the board, that's what is more helpful, just to take the time to slow down and check in on yourself. One thing that I think a lot of us do and also suffer from is that go, go, go mentality. On one hand, it's the, you know, I have so much to do, my schedule is booked, I need to get this done by this date. I understand it gets crazy, but I think it's also that, and then you couple it with what we see on social media. I think social media can be a beautiful thing. I think it can also be a very negative thing. I know that a lot of people tell you that right when you wake up, don't look at your phone, and how, if you do, how that can negatively affect your day immediately. But for me, it goes way beyond that. If I feel like I have a moment where I'm in a very low mental state, you know, when you get in those moments, it's not like I automatically recognize it either. It can start slowly and just keep building. And I've realized that if I go on social media in those moments to distract myself, it makes it worse, because then I start this comparison game. And we all know social media is not real. You know, these photos can be heavily edited. They are curated for a specific feel for the feed. I know all of this, but in that moment, if I'm thinking I'm distracting myself, I'm just gonna go look and whatever, not helpful. I'm then playing almost a comparison game. Well, I wanna do this, and I see this person doing that, and they make it look so easy, and look how beautiful they look while they do it, and whatever the case may be. I have learned that in these moments, I just can't be on my phone, or at least I can't be on social media. I think it also plays a role in the sense of like the comparison, but then it also becomes this negative self-talk, like, well, why haven't I achieved this yet? Or why hasn't this happened for me yet? Why don't people recognize what I've done yet? And that's obviously not the case. But for me, it's been realizing also that my version of what success looks like has some basis in someone else's opinion. So what I mean is, and I don't know if that's clear, but I'm letting outside opinions alter what I think is success for myself. And that can be friends, that can be family, that can be people on the internet. What I've been really focused on in therapy and journaling is remembering who I am and what I feel is success, how I value my success. And I know I've said some of this, or maybe a lot of this, in past vlogs, but it's remembering to give myself the grace that I give the people that I love. And I'm not, or at least I wasn't, doing it for myself. So I think it's important in those moments just to remember, if you're playing that comparison game, or if you're letting someone else's opinion other than your own dictate your level of happiness and your version of success, I would just take a step back and remember, like I said, who you are, what you want to achieve. And it's not to say that these people's opinions don't matter. That's not what I'm saying at all. If it's someone who I trust and who I care about, of course I want to listen to what they have to say. At the end of the day, it is my life, and these are my choices, whether or not I'm making them for myself or whether I'm making them for somebody else. They're still mine ultimately. So I try to remember that in everything that I do. I try to remember with every decision I make, I go through kind of a checklist. Is this going to make me happy? Is this going to make me a better person? Is this going to surround me with people who will bring me to a higher level? And I don't mean that necessarily in a professional sense. I just mean, am I going to be around people who are going to bring out a better version of myself? And I think that's also really important, is looking at who you surround yourself with. I know I spoke briefly about some things I went through earlier this year with a friendship breakup, but I think it's so crucial really to look at who you are surrounded by. And you know, sometimes it takes those really hard moments and those really hard times to let you realize, or almost to force you to step back and assess who's in your life and for what reasons. But I'm telling you guys, trust your gut. I knew something felt wrong and I just kept suppressing it and ignoring it, and as we all know, that never works. Which also brings me to what I've said multiple times, so I'm not going to dwell on it and say a big spiel about it, but do not suppress what you're feeling in these low moments. If you are feeling a low moment, don't just be like, I'm fine. Like, I gotta keep going. I don't have the time. Take 5 minutes. It doesn't need to take a long time. Sit with yourself, close your eyes, feel where you're feeling the stress in your body, try to address it, try to give it, you know, I try to find a reason. I can't always find a reason. I think sometimes it is just an overwhelming sensation of what you need to do. But in those moments, I'm a big fan of writing things down. Make a list, prioritize it, things that I have to get done today, but hello, I'm filming. Anyway, I try to make a list, prioritize what I need to get done that day, things that can wait until tomorrow, and so on and so forth. If I feel like that won't be enough, I also will either like say out loud or write down, I'm feeling upset because, or I'm feeling overwhelmed because, or, you know, this kind of put me in this weird mental space and I can't figure out why. I'm just a big fan of writing it down because I feel like it gets it out of my head. You're beautiful, you really are, but I'm filming. Anyway, it gets it out of my head, even if just for a brief moment, and lets me find some clarity. And if that doesn't work, then I will pick up the phone. I find someone who I trust and I just talk to them. Sometimes it can be really hard to admit that you're feeling down, even to people who are the closest people in your lives. And for me, it's almost because I don't want to admit it. I want to, like I've said before, like I want to be strong, but I've gotten really good at recognizing that I don't need to be strong in every moment. And if I'm feeling a moment of weakness, it's okay to walk out and ask for a hug, or pick up the phone and say, hey, I don't really care what we talk about, but can we talk about something for 5 minutes? Find those outlets that help you. Maybe painting or drawing or some other type of creative outlet, like pottery is a huge creative outlet for me right now and really helps me get out of my own head because I have to be so focused on what's right in front of me. So I think finding just something, it doesn't need to, you know, if you can't draw very well, but who cares? It doesn't matter. Like just something that pulls you out of it in that moment. I have so many coloring books, mainly from COVID, but I still use them sometimes. There's just something about focusing so hard on something that is not at all what you've been doing that brings you out of that funk. Getting sweaty, it's hot out now. Another major thing that I've been trying to remember and my therapist has reminded me of is that when you're in this period of growth or change and transition, there are going to be moments where you don't feel like yourself. Not in a bad way. I think you don't feel like yourself because the work that we've been putting in and the changes that we've been trying to make and implement in our lives are taking hold. And I think that it's a beautiful thing and it can be a tough process. But remembering that, okay, if I don't feel good or if I do look inward and I say, okay, why do I feel like this? I don't feel like myself right now. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. It's very easy to kind of get trapped in a mindset if you do feel like that. And I totally get that. Just remember, I think in those moments, especially what we just said, give yourself some of that grace that you give other people because you are putting in the work, honey. We are working so hard to better ourselves and better our lives and become the adults and the human beings that we want to be and make the world and our lives a better place. Just remembering ultimately what your goals are and ultimately that manifestation of what you want your life to look like, for better or for worse, all of those. Remembering that for better or worse, these things take time, and remembering to allow ourselves the space to recognize that that does take time, allowing ourselves the space to have a low moment and to sit in that for a little bit and then pull yourself out. That's incredible. We've proven how resilient we can be. While I will say in the moment it feels so overwhelming and so overpowering, or at least it can. If you can pull yourself out of it a little, stay off of social media, try not to play the comparison game. You know, if there's an issue that's felt repetitive, there's probably a reason. We just can't get stuck, and I'm saying this so much to myself right now, we just cannot get stuck in a work-only mentality. I'm literally sweating right now. We all play these games, we all play these what-if games to ourselves. Like, oh, well, what if I had done this? Well, it's already been done. Can't change it. Or, you know, I joke, but I do it. We all do it. We all play the what-if game, and it's such a dangerous game. And social media definitely lends a hand. So if you find yourself falling in that trap, try to just take a breath, recognize that that's what's happening, and then kind of pull yourself out of it. One of the last points, I guess I'll say, is it sounds silly, and I do it in extreme moments, but I will put my AirPods in or just turn the music up so loud that I can't really hear anything else, and I will literally get up and just start dancing. And I look ridiculous, first and foremost, but it doesn't matter. That whole dance like nobody's watching, that is what I'm doing. But it helps. It just can't help in that moment but be so focused on the fact that you look silly, but you're having a great time. So that's like my last ditch Hail Mary to pull me out of a situation. I like to just kind of cement it or solidify it, I guess, in my mind. You know, I'll do a number of things. It's whatever makes you happy. And it's something I think the littler it is, like almost the better. It doesn't need to be big. Like, we don't need these big moments in life to make us happy. We just need these little moments and to focus on those little moments. We can't only dwell in these negative moments. I know it feels a lot more all-encompassing for us. I think if we make an effort, a real effort, to dwell more in the little happy moments too, those will start to take center stage for us. And I think it will also just be easier to find those little things. And I think that focusing on that in the off moments where you're not feeling low will help you ultimately when you are feeling low. Let's all remember that changes take time. If you're feeling a little bit out of it, maybe that just means that you're evolving into a better version of yourself. Just remember, we're all going through it. Find those outlets for yourself that can pull you out of these moments quickly. Put that phone down, honey. We don't need to look at it. Well, social media. If you want to pick your phone up and call a friend, totally here for that. With time and a little grace, we've got this. All right? Boom. I just got done filming everything outside only to realize that I left my smoothie inside the whole time. I'm gonna go drink that. I hope everybody enjoys their day. Be kind out there. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys right here next week.